Hey, what's up YouTube? So today we had pretty much the first full day playing with the Aura Stacker after transitioning. And so far the build's been a blast. It's been hard to try to survive all the time, especially when you're running around with negative 51% chaos res. There's a lot of like random chaos damage that just kind of one-shots you. Like I was doing a blight encounter the other day and then they shot like one chaos projectile out and then I just got one-shotted. So it seems like chaos res is a bit of an issue, and I'll try to give some ways that we can fix our chaos res since we're playing low life. Now the damage for the build has so far been very strong. Most of the bosses die like extremely fast, but I guess that's what happens when you have like I think the damage on the POB I have is like 16 mil with everything up, so most bosses get instantly melted if you turn on RF, use your flask and smite. And that's actually a huge thing is to remember to smite all the time because smiting literally will I think in the end it will probably double your damage if you get like a +6 Hands of the High Templar or +8 and then empower it and have a level 30 smite. So there's some pretty cool gear upgrades I got that I can't wait to show you guys and included some clips, and then I also have I'm gonna have a section in the video about how to get multi RMR jewels for cheap so that you guys can swap for Maligaros if you feel like it and still have above 300% multi without breaking the bank on double multi RMR jewels, which are probably like I don't know, they're like 5-6 exalts each at the moment. So anyhow, let's get into it. For the gear overview, I always like to go over my gear real fast in case people missed out on the previous videos. So I have the same nebulous, this helm is different, and I'll get to why it's good. And then we have this amulet. This amulet could be used, I think you can actually get chaos res if you have extra spare suffix that you can aug chaos, and I think it's guaranteed, so that could be one way to fix it. And that could mean that the gem slot is worth using an amulet like this until a really good amulet comes out with an aura on it and multi. So someone just has to hit a really lucky Awakener's Orb, and then I think this amulet could get phased out, or it should get phased out. And I was like hearing that they were gonna change the tags so that you could use Fertile Callus again on the reduced reservation of skills. Not confirmed though, just maybe some rumors that they said they would. And then we also have level 21 Hatred, Call of the Brotherhood still, and this Call of the Brotherhood has no aura still. So the 6-link Shavs, maybe can one day get a +2 one for cheap, but not at that point in the league. Now for the gloves, I got a sizable upgrade. If you saw the previous video, I have +2 projectile, +1 frenzy, but now it's +2 aura, +1 frenzy. I paid 9 exalts for this pair, but I actually traded my old pair for 5.5 exalts and then gave him 3.5 exalts in the difference. And this is a pretty good because it lets me run like Purity of Lightning, Malevolence, and then Smite +2, which is actually pretty big. I also got Phantasmal Smite. Phantasmal Smite is actually something that's really good. It gives you attack and cast speed, and I think this attack and cast speed gets scaled by your aura effectiveness, so it's just like free damage and move speed because you can leap slam around a lot faster with Phantasmal Smite up. And then the Void Walkers still have the same with the +2 auras. And here we have all our purities and discipline. So I chose to put the discipline in the arrogance link because it's actually very important. Because like the discipline aura in the arrogance link gives us a lot more ES. You can see like I pretty much finally broke the 4K barrier on this character. Yeah, 4.1K with all the auras up. So it's been quite a journey to get to 4K, kind of hard. A lot of little swaps here and there to do it. But I'm going to get into now why the helmet here is so good. This helmet was actually made by a viewer of mine, and he actually had to run lab to get the enchant himself. Now this helmet is less ES than a Hubris, but it allows us to have Socrates skills apply fire, cold, and lightning exposure on hit. So that means when we have like Heralds of Thunder and Ice, it applies exposure to the enemies on the hit. And also I have Leap Slam leaped in here, and I think when I leaped onto the boss, it also applies exposure. I think exposure is negative 25%. I'm not sure how much the Archdemon Crown gives, if it's negative 25 or 15. And then the downside of the Archdemon Crown is a negative 10% to all elemental resist, but that is absolutely useless, as you can see that we have insane amount of resist because of our aura effectiveness on our purities. Now, in crafting this helmet is the exact same thing. You want to use Awakener's Orb on Global Crit Multi, a T1 one, and then you want to elevate it mana reservation, reduce reservation of skills. And once you awaken orbit together, if you have a lot of bad mods on it, you can hope to just do suffixes cannot be changed and scour it, and hopefully you have an extra suffix left over. And if you have extra suffix left over, you can just multi-mod it and do this, and it's a pretty good solution. You can see it's a 152 ES, so it's pretty respectable. Now, if you don't have a suffix left over, you'll probably have to just do suffixes cannot be changed and scour it, and then probably do, or suffixes cannot be changed and then reforge defense is more common, and that'll make it so that you'll be left with the suffix, but then your prefixes will have 2 defense mods, and then that should be pretty good. And then if you have an extra slot, Acelient Exalt is very, very good at the moment, and I think Acelient Exalt will be used for a lot of crafting in the future. In the next video, I'll go over Acelient Exalts and the mods that we can get on our items and why it's pretty game changing. I just saw a pair of boots that a viewer linked to me, and it actually had 30% move speed and cannot be chilled, I think, which is just crazy to think. And like the chance to get 20 tier 1 move speed or 28 to 30% move speed was actually a 1 in like 2.2. So very easy to make boots with the Acelient Exalt, and I'll actually probably be farming some Betrayal today live on stream, so to test it out to see how easy it is to get Acelient to spawn as D4. But basically, this helm should be one of the first upgrades that you try to look to make, as it actually gives us a lot of ES. It gave me 500 ES, and I actually stopped dying a lot. You can see I have a lot of XP now, purely because of the helmet having the extra ES buffer. Every amount of ES helps us a lot because our effective HP is really, really high per point of energy shield or HP because of our defenses. But basically, first upgrade, you should look to get a helm or the gloves. Helm or gloves will always give you a lot of ES. Like even this thing gives you some energy shield, and it's a tiny amount, but it will add up, and that's how you can get past like 4k and then eventually 5k with some more upgrades and empowers on the discipline. Now we'll run into why probably a lot of people die on this build early on. Like while having low HP, we also have a chaos res problem. So if you ever look at a path ability, right? So is this my path ability? Yeah. So this is a rough path ability. If you look at our defenses, so this is how you see defenses and calcs. You go here, and for people who are always asking, aura effect mod is over here, so you can see how much aura effect you have. If you look at our defenses, our physical damage reduction is pretty poop, but our chaos damage reduction is actually horrendous, and that's because we have negative. This is not even negative 50%. This is I did import my character here. Let's import my actual character, and you can see what I mean by this. So negative 16% now, and this is because I got a jewel. But basically, you can still see in the calcs that chaos damage is an issue, and we need to find some way to fix it. And even these ones are not too good, but I don't think this takes into account our ES regen that well. Our ES regen is 1075, and evasion is 48%. So yeah, but you basically can see that chaos res is a huge issue for us. So chaos res being such a big issue means that we can't really play the game and then just randomly die to chaos damage. So there's some ways to fix it. One is to use this amulet that's not redeemer based. So this would just be a synthesized amulet, and with synthesized items, you can still aug onto it. So I assuming you can aug chaos onto this, and you would get chaos res. Cheaper solution might just be to spam the essences until you get a chaos res on it, and it should not be the hardest in the world. It might be cheaper than aug chaos, because aug chaos is actually like 5x or 3x depending on the time of day. Now another solution for chaos res is to use these jewels. I actually made one of these. So this is a 35% effect ES life regen, and you can also aug chaos to get chaos res. So you can get up to 5% chaos res per point. And then this gets multiplied by the 35% effect, which I think goes to maybe 7% chaos res. So 7% per point, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you have 35% chaos res for this whole cluster. And that having one or two of these clusters could solve your issue altogether. These clusters are relatively expensive. I bought this one for like 2x, and it has to be eye level 84 to roll the 35% effect. And 35% effect is important because it makes it from 3% the nodes are normally to 4%. And this means that one 6-point cluster gives us 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times 4 is 20% or effectiveness, while the first amount replenishings that we usually do gives us only, so this is a full one, and it will only give us like 6 plus 6, 12, 15, 18, 21. So just sacrificing 1% aura effectiveness can give us up to an item's worth of energy shield, along with a T1 chaos res roll. So it's definitely a worthwhile sacrifice. You can probably use like a couple of these in our build, and this is probably the best late game jewel once we can fully roll it. It's just extremely hard to roll. Even this one was pretty lucky. All I did was alt regal it, and it actually ended up working out. So we just ran like one or two of those. Our chaos res will be positive, and once we're positive chaos res, things will be a lot smoother. You can also try to get chaos res on a jewel. Perhaps you could try to get a single multi RMR, which we'll talk about next with chaos res. And just here and there, even this one I could probably get chaos res on, and it would probably solve my issue a lot, especially since it gets doubled by the darkness and throne. Yeah, so pretty much jewels, cluster jewels, and perhaps amulet, and maybe boots if we get lucky, are the ways to get chaos res. And chaos res is super important since we're playing low life, and you don't want to be caught with negative 60% chaos res because you're only good as strong as your weakest point. So now we'll talk about how do you actually swap over from Maligaros. So a lot of people are scared of swapping over from Maligaros because they're scared of how expensive some of these double multi RMR jewels are. But there's actually an option that's relatively cheap, and it requires you to know like how wide these damage ranges are, or the crit multi range are. So you can see the crit multi here, it goes from 15 to 18%. And the more specified the crit multi thing is, the more the higher the number will be. So you can see the crit multi with lightning skills is super high because it's a very specified type. It has to be multi with lightning. But the global crit multi is only 9 to 12. And I think, is there elemental one? Yeah, elemental is only to 15. So that means in order to get the highest multiplier, we want to use multiplier with lightning skills. So you can see here, this double multi jewel here is 23 multi total, and it's 15 exalt. But here we have a search. Where's my search here? You can get 18% multi for 5 chaos, and that's only a difference of 5 multi, which is nothing. So I do the search here. So I maxed out the lightning skills, I maxed out the spells, maxed out the elemental, so it only shows those. Now this is 15%, 18%. So ideally we pretty much just want the lightning one. And you can see here if we go down, probably find some pretty good ones. Like this was 18% multi and 4% attacking cast speed. It's probably better than a 23% multi one, straight up. And you can probably find one 18% one with a multiple, but you can see that these are pretty common overall. And you can find probably one or two other affixes attached to it that could be good. You can even get some stats on it or some intelligence, which is kind of like ES. So by using these jewels, it can make the swap a lot easier, a lot more affordable. You can literally buy a full set, and you probably wouldn't even be able to buy like 1/5 of one of these. So you can see how little number of these are. Now using these, I'll include a search in the basic stacker. I'll actually register it now. So this will be called Poor People's RMR multi jewel. So there's a single multi, but we utilize the fact that the roll for the specified one goes super high, and that we can get one that's actually pretty decent. I think if you actually use all of these and have 7, you'll be over 300% really easily. And then with the amulet, let's see how much the amulet is, because I'm actually curious. I think the amulet might be extremely expensive. So here we have amulet synthesized RMR. So the amulet's like 6 exalts now, but I think it's still worth it to craft on one of these over the. You can try awaken orbing it together, but not being able to get crit multi will make the multi swap really bad, because losing 41% multi is pretty big. But maybe it's worth it if you really need a gem slot, because the gem slot is actually pretty huge too. an extra gem slot allows us to run in power or something like that. But basically, use the eventually try to swap over from Maligaros. The damage difference is huge compared to hands of the High Templar, and you also get a lot more ES by swapping over, so it's a double benefit. So buy some of these cheap RMR multi jewels and eventually try to work towards transition, because the upgrade path is usually always getting the gloves and then the helmet to fix your ES pool, and that's pretty much the only way to really fix it. And it's also probably the best way, while also increasing your damage, as both the gloves and helm offers us a lot of damage. Now I'll play some quick stream highlights. I did a Vaal Reliquary Key, you can see what I get. Spoiler alert, is probably not that great. I also finally did an Act 9 Awakener. I did the first half of the fight without the Wrath Aura on. And we actually had a prediction going on if I was going to get an Awakened Gem in Twitch chat. And I mean, there's some disappointed people, but yeah, but doing the fight without the aura on really shows you that the build is pretty strong in terms of damage, even on Act 9 Awakener. And then I threw in a quick hunter clip to show you the damage on Conquerors now that everything is fully set up. But hope you enjoy it. If I don't get something good. Vaal Reliquary Key. Nice, open the vault. I got a city breath. Thanks. Oh my. Oh my goodness. Baited again.
Feel the thrill of the Force.
Oh, that makes a lot more sense why it was so bad. Is the aura. I didn't know that Wrath made such a big difference. Well, yes, Juan. Rig, not deathless. Hey.
With your death, this nightmare may finally end. I'm better. I'm too quick.
Nice. Well, that's pretty much it for the video. Hope I covered a lot of interesting topics for people. I try to include the RMR thing, because the multi jewels, because people are always wondering like how to swap with how expensive the jewels are. Tomorrow's video I'll probably go over Aceling. I'm gonna do Betrayal a lot today. Gonna figure out how it actually works. Look over some of the mods. I know the mods for Aceling boot prefixes are absolutely insane. So hopefully we can exploit it to our character's benefit and actually craft some insane stuff that's just as good as last league, because we can actually get an insane projectile speed, projectile damage craft on this that will pretty much make Spark a lot better. But anyhow, everyone, thanks for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe if you enjoy these videos. I'll be doing one every day for as long as I play, and for the rest of my life perhaps. But check out my Twitch channel. I'll be showing off some of the money making strategies I'm doing currently to afford all this gear. And yeah, see you next time and have a good day.